D needs your vision to become reality. Right now, there are problems in the world that only your vision can solve. There are people who can only be helped by the gifts you have to. Comfort zones are not comfortable. They are prisons disguised as safety, and most people will spend their entire lives as willing inmates. You've been conditioned to believe that staying small, playing it safe, and avoiding risk is the path to happiness. But it's actually the path to a slow, suffocating death of your potential. The education system trained you to follow instructions, not create vision. Corporate culture taught you to be a good employee, not an entrepreneur of your own life. Society programmed you to fit in, not stand out. Your own family might have unconsciously taught you that dreaming big is dangerous and that ordinary is acceptable. But here's the brutal truth. There is no security in security. The job you think is safe could disappear tomorrow. The relationship you're settling for could end next week. The comfortable life you're clinging to could crumble in an instant. The only real security comes from knowing that you can create whatever you need whenever you need it because you've developed the internal power to turn vision into reality. Most people are so terrified of temporary discomfort that they choose permanent dissatisfaction. They'd rather spend 40 years being miserable than spend 4 years being uncomfortable while they build something extraordinary. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize they've been sleepwalking through their existence. For some, it happens at 3:00 a.m. when they can't sleep, staring at the ceiling, wondering where all their dreams went. For others, it's when they look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back at them. And for many, it's when they suddenly understand that they've been living someone else's life instead of their own. You see, most human beings are living in a trance. They're moving through their days on autopilot, reacting to whatever comes their way. Never truly awake to the incredible power that lies dormant within them, they become prisoners of their own routine, slaves to their habits, and victims of their circumstances. But here's what they don't realize. Every single moment of every single day, they have the power to wake up. They have the ability to break free from the hypnosis of mediocrity and step into the reality of their unlimited potential. The question is, are they willing to do what it takes? Right now, at this very moment, there are people all over the world checking their phones for the 150th time today. They're scrolling through social media looking for something to fill the emptiness inside them, searching for validation from strangers, trying to escape the nagging feeling that they're meant for something more. These same people will spend hours watching other people live their dreams on screens while their own dreams collect dust in the corners of their minds. They'll know more about celebrities than they know about themselves. They'll be more invested in fictional characters than they are in their own character development. They wake up in the morning and immediately reach for their phones before their feet even touch the ground. They're checking for messages that probably aren't there, notifications that don't matter, and updates that won't change their lives. They start their day reactive instead of creative, responsive to everyone else's agenda instead of focused on their own. This person, and maybe this person is you, checks their phone every 6 minutes they're awake. Think about that. Every 6 minutes they voluntarily scatter their attention, break their focus, and disconnect from their inner world. Each notification becomes a tiny interruption in their ability to create something meaningful with their life. They think they're staying connected, but they're actually becoming more disconnected than ever before. Disconnected from their purpose, disconnected from their passion, disconnected from the vision that could transform their entire existence. They're so busy consuming other people's content that they never create their own, but it's not just phones. It's the constant mental chatter that never stops. It's the worry about things they can't control. It's the regret about things they can't change. It's the fear about things that may never happen, Their minds have become like wild horses running in every direction except the one that leads to their dreams. Most people live their entire lives in this fog of confusion. They wake up reactive and go to bed distracted. They spend their days putting out fires instead of building their empire. They're so busy being busy that they never pause to ask themselves the most important question of all. What do I really want to create with my life? They mistake activity for achievement, motion for progress, and hoping for creating. They think that if they just work harder, stay busier, and do more, somehow their dreams will magically appear. But that's not how transformation works. That's not how creation works. That's not how life works. The truth is, clarity is the ultimate power. When you become absolutely clear on your vision, so clear that you can see it with perfect detail, feel it with every emotion in your body, and know it with absolute certainty in your soul, everything in your reality begins to shift. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't wishful dreaming. This is the science of human potential. This is how your brain works. This is how your nervous system functions. This is how reality itself responds to focused intention. When you become so clear on your vision that nothing can distract you, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your destiny. You stop reacting to life and start creating life. You stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself permission. You stop asking if you can and start declaring that you will. Most people are living their lives like a ship without a captain, drifting wherever the current takes them, hoping they'll somehow end up where they want to be. But hope is not a strategy. Wishing is not a plan. Dreaming is not creating. Creation requires clarity. It requires focus. It requires the ability to see your future so vividly that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. It requires the courage to stay committed to your vision, even when everything around you suggests it's impossible. You see, your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Where you place your energy is where you create your results, and where you create your results is where you live your life. Most people are spending their attention like they have an unlimited supply. They're giving it away to news that makes them anxious, social media that makes them compare themselves to others, and conversations that drain their energy. They're investing their most precious resource in things that don't serve their highest good. But what would happen if you decided to become the guardian of your own attention? What would happen if you chose to invest your mental energy only in thoughts, activities, and experiences that move you closer to your vision? What would happen if you became so protective of your focus that you refused to let anything distract you from what matters most? The answer is simple. Everything would change. Your brain would rewire itself around your vision. Your body would begin to align with your future. Your energy would become coherent instead of scattered. Your actions would become purposeful instead of random. Your life would become intentional instead of accidental. But here's where most people get stuck. They create a vision. They get excited about it for a few days or weeks, and then they slowly drift back into their old patterns. They let the familiar pull them back into mediocrity. They choose the comfort of their problems over the uncertainty of their possibilities. Why does this happen? Because they've never learned how to maintain focus in a world designed to distract them. They've never developed the mental discipline necessary to stay committed to their vision when everything around them is pulling them in different directions. They've never understood that creating the life they want requires them to become someone they've never been before. It requires them to think thoughts they've never thought, feel emotions they've never felt, and take actions they've never taken. It requires them to step into the unknown and stay there long enough for their new identity to become their new reality. The moment you decide to become so clear on your vision that nothing can distract you, you declare war on mediocrity. You make a statement to the universe that you're no longer available for an ordinary life. You commit to excellence in a world that has settled for average. This decision will be tested, your commitment will be challenged, your resolve will be questioned not just by others but by your own mind. The voice in your head that has kept you safe and small will get louder. It will remind you of all the times you've failed before. It will tell you that you're not smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough to achieve your vision. But here's what that voice doesn't understand. Your past doesn't have to equal your future. Unless you keep thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and taking the same actions that created your past. The moment you change your inner world, you change your outer world. The moment you change your story, you change your reality. The science behind scattered attention reveals something profound about the human brain. When your attention is scattered, your brain activity becomes chaotic. Different regions of your brain start competing with each other instead of cooperating. Your nervous system becomes dysregulated. Your stress hormones increase, your creative abilities decrease, but when your attention becomes focused on a clear vision, something magical happens. Your brain activity becomes coherent. Different regions start working together in harmony. Your nervous system becomes regulated. Your stress hormones decrease. Your creative abilities increase. You literally become a more powerful version of yourself. The default mode network in your brain is like a radio that's always playing in the background of your consciousness. And here's what that radio is constantly broadcasting: your past. It's replaying your memories, reinforcing your limitations, and keeping you stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. Every time you let your mind wander without direction, every time you daydream about problems instead of possibilities, every time you rehearse scenarios that make you feel stressed or anxious, you're strengthening the neural pathways that keep you trapped in your old identity. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something you're experiencing and something you're vividly imagining. Every time you think about your problems, your brain thinks you're living your problems. Every time you worry about your future, your brain thinks you're experiencing that worried future right now. And this is why most people keep creating the same experiences over and over again. They're not creating from their vision. They're creating from their memory. They're not thinking from their future. They're thinking from their past. They're not being who they want to become. They're being who they've always been. The neurological cost of constant distraction is enormous. Your brain has to work harder to focus when it's been scattered. It's like trying to start a car with a weak battery. It takes more energy to get going, and you can't go as far before you need to recharge. When you check your phone every 6 minutes, when you jump from task to task without finishing anything, when you let every notification interrupt your thought process, you're training your brain to be weak. You're conditioning your nervous system to be reactive instead of responsive. Our brains are wired for survival, not success. They're designed to scan for threats, notice problems, and keep us alive. This was helpful when we lived in caves and had to watch out for predators, but it's not helpful when we're trying to create an extraordinary life in the modern world. Your brain's primary job is to keep you safe, and safe means familiar. Familiar means predictable. Predictable means staying exactly where you are, thinking exactly what you've always thought, and being exactly who you've always been. But safety and growth can't coexist. Security and creation are opposites. Comfort and transformation are mutually exclusive. If you want to create something new in your life, you have to be willing to leave the familiar behind and step into the unknown. There's a fundamental difference between reacting and responding. When you react, you're letting your environment control your internal state. You're giving your power away to circumstances, people, and situations that are outside of your control. You're being lived by life instead of living life. When you respond, you're choosing your internal state regardless of your external circumstances. You're taking your power back. You're deciding how you want to think, feel, and act based on your vision, not based on your conditions. Most people spend their entire lives reacting. They wake up and react to the weather. They check their phone and react to their messages. They go to work and react to their boss. They come home and react to their family. They watch the news and react to events they can't control. They go to bed and react to their worries about tomorrow. But what if you decided to spend your life responding instead of reacting? What if you woke up every morning and chose your emotional state before anything had a chance to influence it? What if you decided how you wanted to feel about your day before you even got out of bed? When your vision is unclear, it creates neural chaos. Your brain doesn't know what to focus on, so it tries to focus on everything and ends up focusing on nothing. It's like having 10 different GPS systems giving you directions to 10 different destinations. You end up driving in circles, wasting energy, and getting nowhere. But here's the beautiful truth that most people never realize. You have the power to reprogram that radio station. You have the ability to change the channel from the past to the future. You have the capacity to transform your default mode from limitation to possibility. And this isn't just psychology. This is pure neuroscience. Every thought you think creates a neuropathway in your brain. Every emotion you feel conditions your body to expect that emotion. Every action you take reinforces the identity of the person who would take that action. Most people think they're thinking new thoughts, but they're actually thinking the same 60 zeros, 0 to 70, 0 thoughts they thought yesterday. About 90% of those thoughts are the same ones they thought the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. This means that most people are creating their tomorrow based on their yesterday. They're using their past to predict their future. They're letting their memory become their destiny. They're allowing their history to become their identity. But what if you could interrupt this pattern? What if you could catch yourself in the act of thinking old thoughts and choose to think new ones instead? What if you could become so aware of your mental habits that you could consciously choose to create new ones? The research shows that it takes about 21 days to start forming a new habit and about 66 days to make it automatic. But here's what the research doesn't tell you. It takes tremendous awareness, intention, and energy to break free from the gravitational pull of your old patterns. Your old identity doesn't want to die. It will fight for its survival. It will make you feel uncomfortable when you try to change. It will whisper in your ear that this new way of being isn't really you. It will remind you of all the times you've tried to change before and failed. This is where most people give up. They experience the discomfort of change and mistake it for a sign that they're doing something wrong. But discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're breaking free from the prison of your past and stepping into the possibility of your future. The constant switching of attention that characterizes modern life is rewiring our brains in ways that make sustained focus nearly impossible. When you check your phone, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in addiction. Over time, your brain craves these hits, and it becomes harder and harder to concentrate on anything for extended periods. And this is why so many people struggle with what researchers call continuous partial attention. They're partially paying attention to everything and fully paying attention to nothing. They're skimming the surface of life instead of diving deep into their potential. The average person's attention span has decreased from 12 seconds in the year 2000 to 8 seconds today. That's shorter than the attention span of a goldfish. We've literally trained ourselves to be less focused than fish. But here's what's even more concerning. The areas of the brain responsible for deep thinking, creativity, and problem solving are literally shrinking from lack of use. When you don't challenge your brain to focus deeply, it loses its ability to focus deeply. It's like a muscle that atrophies when you don't exercise it. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, decision making, and self-control, becomes weaker when it's constantly interrupted. This is the part of your brain that allows you to delay gratification, resist temptation, and stay focused on long-term goals. When this part of your brain is weak, you become more impulsive, more reactive, and more susceptible to distraction. You lose the ability to regulate your emotions, control your impulses, and make decisions based on your values instead of your feelings. This is why people can know exactly what they need to do to achieve their goals, but still find themselves unable to do it. Their prefrontal cortex has been weakened by years of distraction, making it difficult to exercise the self-control necessary for long-term success. But here's the good news: your brain is plastic. It can change, it can adapt, it can rewire itself based on how you use it. The same neuroplasticity that allowed your brain to become scattered can allow it to become focused again. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, you strengthen your prefrontal cortex. Every time you choose to focus on one task for an extended period, you build your capacity for sustained attention. Every time you deliberately direct your thoughts toward your vision instead of your problems, you create new neural pathways that support your future instead of your past. The beautiful thing about the brain is that it's always adapting to whatever you're doing most often. If you're constantly distracted, it adapts to distraction. If you're constantly focused, it adapts to focus. If you're constantly thinking about problems, it becomes an expert at finding problems. If you're constantly thinking about solutions, it becomes an expert at finding solutions. Your brain is like a river. When water flows down the same path repeatedly, it creates a channel. The more water that flows through that channel, the deeper it becomes. Eventually, it becomes so deep that all the water naturally flows in that direction. Your thoughts work the same way. When you think the same thoughts repeatedly, you create mental channels. The more you think those thoughts, the deeper the channels become. Eventually, it becomes so easy to think those thoughts that they seem to happen automatically. This is why breaking free from old thought patterns can feel so difficult at first. You're literally trying to redirect the flow of a river. You're trying to create new channels while the old ones are still there, calling you back to the familiar path. But with enough repetition, enough intention, and enough energy, you can create new channels that are deeper and more attractive than the old ones. You can literally rewire your brain to default to thoughts that serve your vision instead of thoughts that reinforce your limitations. The process of focused attention actually changes the structure of your brain. Studies using brain imaging technology show that when people engage in focused meditation or sustained attention practices, the gray matter in their brains literally increases. The areas responsible for attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness become thicker and more developed. Meanwhile, the areas associated with stress, anxiety, and reactivity become smaller and less active. It's as if your brain is reorganizing itself to support the person you're becoming instead of the person you used to be. This is why people who maintain a clear vision and practice focus attention often seem to have a different energy about them. They seem calmer, more centered, more purposeful. They're not just acting differently, they're literally wired differently. Their brains have been conditioned to seek opportunities instead of threats, to focus on possibilities instead of problems, to move toward their vision instead of away from their fears. They've trained their nervous systems to support their growth instead of their survival. When you understand that your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on how you use it, you realize that every moment is an opportunity to become more of who you want to be. Every thought is a chance to strengthen the neuropathways that support your vision. Every emotion is an opportunity to condition your body for your new reality. This is why consistency is so important. It's not enough to focus on your vision once in a while when you feel motivated. You have to focus on it every day, especially when you don't feel like it. You have to train your brain like you would train your body with regular, consistent practice. The default mode network isn't just about thinking, it's about identity. When your mind is at rest, it's not just replaying events from your past. It's reinforcing your sense of who you are based on those events. It's maintaining your current identity by keeping your past alive in your present moment. Every time you let your mind wander back to old stories about yourself, old limitations you've accepted, old failures you've experienced, you're feeding the neural networks that keep you stuck in that identity. You're literally practicing being the person you used to be instead of the person you want to become. But when you consciously direct your attention toward your vision, toward the person you're becoming, toward the future you're creating, you start feeding different neural networks. You start practicing being your future self. You start rehearsing the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors of the person who has already achieved what you want to achieve. But watch what happens when vision becomes crystal clear. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system. It's like a filter that determines what you notice and what you ignore. Right now, there are millions of bits of information coming at you every second, but you can only process a tiny fraction of them consciously. Think about it this way. When you're considering buying a particular car, suddenly you start seeing that exact car everywhere. It's not that there are more of those cars on the road. They were always there. But now your reticular activating system is tuned to notice them because they've become relevant to your current focus. When you have a clear vision, your reticular activating system goes to work for you. In the same way, it starts filtering information in favor of your vision. Suddenly, you start noticing opportunities you never saw before. People who can help you seem to appear out of nowhere. Resources become available that you didn't know existed. Your brain literally begins to reorganize itself around your vision. The neural networks that support your new identity start firing together more frequently, making them stronger and more automatic. Meanwhile, the neural networks that support your old identity begin to weaken from lack of use. This process is called neuroplasticity, and it's one of the most exciting discoveries in modern neuroscience. Your brain isn't fixed, it's constantly changing based on what you focus on most consistently. When you focus on your vision with clarity and intensity, you're literally sculpting your brain to support that vision. And the reticular activating system doesn't just filter visual information, it filters all information. It determines what sounds you hear, what feelings you notice, what thoughts seem important, and what experiences you have. When your vision is unclear, this system filters randomly, leaving you at the mercy of whatever happens to catch your attention. But when your vision is crystal clear, this system becomes your greatest ally. It starts working 24 hours a day to bring you information, opportunities, and experiences that align with your vision. It's like having a personal assistant in your brain whose only job is to help you achieve your goals. Research in cognitive psychology shows that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. But it's not just the act of writing that makes the difference. It's the clarity that comes from translating vague desires into specific, detailed visions. The more specific your vision, the more effectively your reticular activating system can work on your behalf. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to support your vision. New neural pathways form that make it easier to think thoughts that align with your future and harder to think thoughts that keep you stuck in your past. The process of becoming clear on your vision actually changes the structure of your brain at the cellular level. Studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging show that when people engage in visualization practices, the same areas of the brain light up as when they're actually performing the activities. They're visualizing. This means that when you clearly visualize your future self, living your vision, your brain can't tell the difference between the visualization and the actual experience. It starts preparing your body and mind for that reality before it even happens in the physical world. When you become clear on your vision, something remarkable happens. Synchronicities start showing up in your life. Some people call them coincidences, but they're actually the result of your brain becoming coherent around a single intention. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions all align with your vision, you create a kind of energetic signature that attracts matching circumstances. These synchronicities aren't random, they're the natural result of your focused attention. When you're clear on what you want, you become more sensitive to opportunities that support that desire. You start noticing connections that were always there, but that you previously overlooked because they weren't relevant to your focus. The quantum field of possibility is always around us, but most people can't access it because their attention is scattered in too many directions. When your vision becomes crystal clear, you tune into specific frequencies of possibility that resonate with your intention. This is why people who are clear on their vision seem lucky. They're not lucky, they're coherent. Their heart and mind are working together instead of against each other. Their entire nervous system is organized around a single outcome, and that organization creates the conditions for that outcome to manifest. Heart-brain coherence is a measurable state where your heart rhythm patterns become smooth and ordered. This happens naturally when you focus on your vision with genuine emotion and appreciation. In this state, your intuition becomes sharper, your decision-making improves, and your ability to perceive opportunities increases dramatically. The energetic shift that occurs with focused intention is measurable. Scientists can see changes in brain wave patterns, heart rhythm, coherence, and even gene expression when people maintain clear focus on their vision. Your body literally begins to transform at the cellular level when you consistently hold a clear intention. Research in epigenetics shows that your thoughts and emotions can actually influence which genes are expressed in your body. When you consistently focus on your vision with elevated emotions like gratitude, joy, and excitement, you signal your genes to create proteins that support health, vitality, and peak performance. This means that having a clear vision isn't just good for your mind, it's good for your entire body. It strengthens your immune system, improves your cardiovascular health, and even slows down the aging process at the cellular level. The electromagnetic field generated by your heart is 0 times stronger than the field generated by your brain, and it extends several feet beyond your body. When you're in a state of heart-brain coherence around your vision, you literally broadcast that coherent energy into the world around you. Other people can sense this coherence even if they're not consciously aware of it. This is why people who are clear on their vision tend to attract others who want to support them. They're radiating an energy of certainty and purpose that others find compelling and inspiring. When your vision becomes clear enough, something extraordinary happens. You start living from the end result instead of working toward it. You begin to embody the energy, the thoughts, the emotions, and the behaviors of the person who has already achieved what you want to achieve. This is when manifestation accelerates exponentially. Instead of trying to create your vision from a place of lack or need, you're creating it from a place of already having it internally. You're not pushing against reality. You're pulling reality toward you through the magnetic power of your clear intention. But let's talk about what makes a vision truly compelling. Most people confuse wishing with visioning. They think about what they want like they are making a Christmas list. I want more money. I want a better relationship. I want to be happier. but wanting implies lack. When you want something, you're affirming that you don't have it. True vision is different. True vision is about becoming. It's about stepping into the identity of the person who already has what you desire. It's about thinking from the end result, not thinking about the end result. When you think from your vision instead of thinking about your vision, everything changes. You stop asking, how can I get this, and start asking, how would someone who already has this think and act? You stop trying to become successful and start being successful in your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors right now. A compelling vision has emotional resonance. It doesn't just make logical sense, it makes you feel something. When you think about your vision, it should create an elevated emotional state. It should make you feel grateful, excited, inspired, and alive. These elevated emotions are the fuel that powers the manifestation process. Your vision must be bigger than your current circumstances. If your vision fits comfortably within your current reality, it's not a vision, it's just a plan. A true vision stretches you beyond what seems possible based on your past experience. It requires you to become someone you've never been before. Specificity matters in neural programming. Your brain works better with clear, detailed images than with vague concepts. Instead of "I want to be successful," try "I see myself confidently presenting my ideas to a room full of engaged investors who are excited to fund my project." The more specific and sensory-rich your vision, the more real it becomes to your nervous system. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They create a clear vision, they feel excited about it for a while, and then they fall back into old patterns. Why? Because they're addicted to mediocrity. The familiar feels safe even when it's limiting. Your brain prefers the devil it knows to the angel it doesn't. This is why people stay in jobs they hate, relationships that don't serve them, and patterns that keep them small. The known is predictable, and predictable feels safe to a nervous system that's wired for survival. But there's something else happening that's even more insidious. Most people are neurochemically addicted to stress, drama, and problems. Every time you worry, every time you feel like a victim, every time you get upset about circumstances beyond your control, your body releases a cocktail of chemicals: adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine. Over time, your body becomes addicted to these chemicals. It starts to crave the drama that produces them. This is why some people always seem to have problems, why they can't seem to catch a break, why they create crisis even when things are going well. They're literally addicted to the chemistry of stress. Breaking free from victim consciousness requires recognizing that you're not at the mercy of your circumstances, you're at the mercy of your responses to your circumstances. Every situation is neutral until you give it meaning. Every event is just an event until you decide what story to tell about it. The unknown is where all possibilities exist, but most people are terrified of the unknown because they try to predict it based on their past experience. They think the future will be like the past, so they stay stuck in familiar patterns of thinking and being. But your past doesn't have to equal your future unless you're thinking thoughts from your past, feeling emotions from your past, and taking actions from your past. The moment you start thinking new thoughts, feeling new emotions, and taking new actions, you step into the unknown, and that's where your vision lives. It takes courage to maintain focus amid chaos. The world will test your commitment to your vision. People will doubt you, circumstances will challenge you, and your own mind will try to talk you out of it. This is where most people give up. They mistake temporary setbacks for permanent failures. But what if failure isn't the opposite of success? What if it's part of success? What if every no gets you closer to yes? What if every setback is actually a setup for a comeback? When you transform your relationship with failure, you transform your relationship with risk, and that changes everything. Fear of failure keeps most people playing small. But here's what they don't realize. The pain of regret is far greater than the pain of failure. Failure is temporary, regret is permanent. When you're 80 years old, you won't regret the chances you took. You'll regret the chances you didn't take. The neuroscience of vision manifestation reveals some fascinating truths about how we create our reality. Every time you repeat a thought, you strengthen the neural pathway associated with that thought. Every time you feel an emotion, you condition your body to that emotional state. Repetition is the mother of skill, and it's also the mother of transformation. When you consistently think thoughts align with your vision and feel emotions align with your future, you literally rewire your brain and recondition your body. You become neurologically and physiologically different. You don't just think differently, you become different. Mental rehearsal has been shown to impact gene expression. When athletes visualize their performance, their muscles actually respond as if they're performing. When you mentally rehearse your vision, your body begins to prepare for that reality. Your genes start expressing proteins that support your new identity. This is why morning and evening practices are so important. In the morning, you program your brain for the day ahead. You decide who you're going to be before the world tells you who you are. In the evening, you review your day and reinforce the behaviors that align with your vision while releasing the ones that don't. Creating new patterns requires conscious repetition. You have to do it on purpose before you can do it automatically. Most people try to change by changing their actions, but lasting change happens when you change your identity. When you change who you think you are, your actions naturally align with that new identity. Breakthrough moments don't happen by accident. They happen by design. They occur when you've created enough neural coherence around your vision that your internal state matches your desired external reality. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all aligned, you create the conditions for breakthrough. But how do you maintain unwavering focus in a chaotic world? How do you protect your mental environment when you're surrounded by negativity, doubt, and distraction? First, you have to become the guardian of your own mind. You have to decide what thoughts you allow to take up residence in your consciousness. Just because a thought appears in your mind doesn't mean you have to believe it or follow it. You can observe your thoughts without becoming them. The art of saying no becomes crucial. Every yes to something that doesn't align with your vision is a no to something that does. Your attention is your most valuable resource, and you have to spend it wisely. This means saying no to gossip, drama, and activities that scatter your energy. Building psychological resilience requires training your mind like you would train your body. You have to strengthen your ability to focus, to maintain positive emotions under pressure, and to stay centered when everything around you is chaotic. When others doubt your vision, remember that they're not doubting your vision, they're doubting their own ability to create change. Their doubt is a reflection of their limitations, not yours. Don't let other people's small thinking make you think small. Creating boundaries that support your growth means protecting your time, energy, and attention. It means surrounding yourself with people who believe in possibilities, not people who focus on problems. It means consuming content that elevates you, not content that brings you down. The discipline of consistent daily actions is what separates those who achieve their vision from those who just dream about it. Small actions taken consistently over time create massive results. The compound effect of daily practices aligned with your vision is unstoppable. During the first 30 days of living your vision, expect resistance. Your old identity will fight to survive. Your comfort zone will try to pull you back. This is normal. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something right. The importance of persistence through the dip cannot be overstated. There's a point in every transformation where it feels like nothing is working, where you want to give up, where the old way seems easier. This is the dip, and it's where most people quit. But if you can push through the dip, you'll break through to the other side. How do you measure progress beyond external results? You measure it by how you feel, how you think, and how you respond to challenges. You measure it by your level of inner peace, your confidence in uncertainty, and your ability to maintain focus despite distractions. Internal shifts happen before external changes. You might feel more optimistic, more creative, more confident. You might find yourself naturally making better choices. You might notice that things that used to bother you don't affect you the same way. These are signs that your transformation is working. The compound effect of daily vision practice creates momentum. Each day you stay aligned with your vision, you make it easier to stay aligned the next day. Each day you choose your new identity over your old one. You strengthen that new identity and weaken the old one. Small wins build confidence and create positive feedback loops. Celebrate every sign that your vision is manifesting. Acknowledge every moment when you choose your new identity over your old one. These moments of recognition fuel your continued growth. Living from your future self is the ultimate practice. Instead of thinking about who you want to become, you start thinking as who you want to become. You ask yourself, how would my future self handle this situation? How would my future self think about this problem? How would my future self feel right now? When you think from the end result instead of thinking about the end result, you collapse time. You bring your future into your present moment. You stop waiting for your life to change and start being the change you want to see. Aligning your actions with your future identity creates coherence between your inner and outer worlds. When what you think, feel, and do are all in harmony with your vision, you become a powerful creative force. You stop being at war with yourself and start working as a unified whole. The practice of acting as if is not about pretending or being fake. It's about embodying the truth of who you're becoming. It's about recognizing that the only moment you have to create change is right now. And right now, you can choose to be the person your vision requires you to be. Creating coherence between your inner and outer worlds means that your internal state begins to match your desired external reality. When this happens, the gap between where you are and where you want to be starts to close. The vision stops being something you're moving toward and starts being something you're living. As we bring this together, remember that becoming so clear on your vision that nothing can distract you isn't a destination. It's a way of living. It's a moment choice to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your highest possibility. Every morning you wake up with the opportunity to choose who you're going to be. Every moment you have the power to decide whether you'll react from your past or respond from your future. Every breath is a chance to align yourself with your vision and step into the unknown where all possibilities exist. Your vision isn't just about what you want to achieve. It's about who you need to become to achieve it. And here's the beautiful truth. The moment you start becoming that person, you've already succeeded. The external manifestation is just the physical world catching up to who you've already become internally. But let me tell you something that most people never consider. Your vision has the power to transform not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. When you become crystal clear on your purpose and start living from that clarity, you give others permission to do the same. You see, most people are waiting for someone to show them that it's possible to break free from mediocrity. They're waiting for proof that ordinary people can create extraordinary lives. They're waiting for evidence that dreams can become reality. When you commit to your vision with unwavering focus, you become that proof. Your transformation becomes a beacon of possibility for others who are still lost in the fog of confusion. Your clarity gives them hope. Your commitment gives them courage. Your success gives them permission to believe in their own potential. This is why your vision matters on a level much deeper than personal achievement. This is why your commitment to clarity is actually a gift to the world. When you refuse to settle for less than your full potential, you elevate the consciousness of everyone around you. Think about the people who have inspired you most in your life. Chances are they weren't people who played it safe or settled for average. They were people who had a clear vision and refused to let anything distract them from it. They were people who chose growth over comfort, possibility over security, and vision over circumstances. Now you have the opportunity to become that person for others. You have the chance to show the world what's possible when a human being becomes absolutely clear on their purpose and commits to it with everything they have. But this isn't just about inspiration. This is about responsibility. The world needs what you came here to create. The world needs the unique combination of talents, experiences, and perspectives that only you possess. The offer. There are innovations, creations, and contributions that will never exist unless you have the courage to make them real. Your vision isn't just a nice idea or a personal preference. It's a responsibility. It's your obligation to yourself, to your family, to your community, and to the world. You didn't come here to live a small life. You didn't come here to play it safe. You came here to make a difference. The universe has invested billions of years of evolution in creating you. Think about that. Every star that exploded, every galaxy that formed, every species that evolved, every generation that survived, all of it led to this moment where you had the opportunity to create something magnificent with your life. Are you going to honor that investment? Are you going to make it count? Are you going to become so clear on your vision that nothing can distract you from fulfilling your purpose? The choice is yours, and it's a choice you make not once, but every single day. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you're choosing to honor the gift of your life. Every time you choose your vision over your circumstances, you're choosing to become who you came here to be. So right now, as you sit here absorbing these words, make a decision that will change everything. Decide that you're no longer going to live by accident. Decide that you're no longer going to let distraction steal your dreams. Decide that you're going to become so clear on your vision that nothing can pull you away from it. For the next 30 days, commit to living from your vision instead of living from your circumstances. Commit to thinking from your future instead of thinking from your past. Commit to being the person your vision requires you to be, starting right now in this very moment. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel